Welcome everyone along to the City of Bunbury Business Improvement Workshops. And it is great to see you. I can see you, that's perfect. My name is Shauna Willis and I'm going to be your facilitator for today. And it's great to have you all joining along, thanks to the ingenious technology that we've employed today. We firstly wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, that is the Wadandi Noongar Boodja, and pay our respects, of course, to elders past, present and emerging. Now, to give you a little bit of background, the City has partnered with BSW Connect to bring you this 4-week workshop series. Now, all are designed to help your business move online, learn how to run your business online safely, very important, to identify the different marketing platforms available and, of course, their purpose, and how you can grow or expand your business through connection and through collaboration. We will just mention now a little bit of housekeeping. You will notice, I hope that everyone here is on mute, and we would kindly ask that if you can just use the chat function for any comments and questions. Now that chat function you usually find at the bottom of your Zoom screen, so it will be sort of down here, if you can check for that. For anyone, of course, in the room, and we do have 2 participants today in here, you can access some paper and pen, so feel free as well to ask any questions and pass them on to me. So I'm going to ask you all, if you can just test this out, maybe you can please just drop us a hi if you're part of that. So click on down onto that chat. I've got a hi from Jody. Welcome, Jody. Thanks for that. As I say, just to check it out and to make sure that that is all working. So again, Liz and Ken have joined us from work. Clobber, good morning. Joanne, hi all. How are you, Joanne? Good to see everyone chatting along there. So as we said, make sure you use that to pop up any questions. Morning to Derek and to Coral as well. Pop up your questions there. You may find that during the presentation those questions are answered, but we'll have a look at that as we go through. I'm going to move on now. Our presenter today is Anthony Congdon from Rethink Marketing. He has over 20 years experience in e-commerce. He's known to think outside the box with business solutions. We like that, Anthony, don't we? He is here today to share how your business can move and, of course, win online. So I'm going to hand over now to Anthony. Please welcome him, everyone. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Shauna, and good morning and welcome, everybody. Through our presentation today, we're looking to really take a very broad dive into the whole online business play and have a look at some of the things which you can apply in your businesses to start building a successful online platform. Now, we've got a slideshow which I'm going to ask to go up. And as we're going to work through it, really we're looking for a very interactive session. So please ask questions as we're going along, and we're more than happy to explore those. Whoa.
Just a moment, just 2 moments, Anthony.
Is this me?
We've just got a couple of people joining.
Okay. Sorry about this, everyone. We just have a couple of extra people joining in and having fun with the technology. Okay. Okay. Can you click on this one and take it back? Okay. Like most things in life, when we're looking at moving a business online, the first and most important question we've got to ask is our why. When we start to think about that why, for every one of our businesses, there's going to be a different answer. And in fact, even in 2 businesses in the same segment, apparently doing similar things, you will have different whys. Some of the reasons you may look to moving a business into the online space might be, for example, making sales. That's the obvious one which we often jump to the end point. But there's a lot of businesses where that's just not going to happen. If you're a restaurant, you're not going to make sales online. You're going to make bookings, which are an equally valuable way of engaging with your customers. If you're a services business, you might be looking to generate leads or inquiries or quoting opportunities. A lot of businesses miss some of the really valuable things which we can do, which include providing great customer service. Take, for example, a new product which I've just purchased at a retailer, and I've taken it home and wondered how to set it up. Naturally, if that provider has, or that product's manufacturer has a great web presence which explains how I can solve a problem which I might be experiencing the first time I've used it, then we're going to find that their product and their website is useful to us at that point in time. So when we look at this, we really have to start thinking in our why question about what the journey the customer is going through. From the point that they've made an inquiry with us, they've started to think, I might need something, right through and beyond the point of purchasing and engaging with us, to the point of becoming, hopefully, if we do things right, a loyal customer. Looking at that process and really understanding it is critical to our success in an online space. And that's something which I think every business can actually step back, spend a little bit of time looking out and mapping the journey that a customer will go through from the point of perhaps not knowing that they need a product or have a problem, right through to the sales process. So let's take an example that we can work our way through. And it might be, for example, as you can see, I'm not a runner, but if I was a runner, I might have gone for a run and found myself with blisters on my shoes, on my feet. Now, at that point, I have a problem, and there's lots of different ways of solving that problem. But the first thing that occurs to me is that I probably need to get a decent set of runners or joggers. There's lots of different ways I can go about purchasing that, and you'll find that for 10 customers you ask, there'll be 10 different ways they may go. Some may think, I need to see a podiatrist. Others might think, I need to go and purchase a new pair of runners, so I'm going to go online and do a search for best runners for people with feet like mine. Others might look at it and say, I trust the people at this particular shop who've got a great reputation for providing customised runners and will match and map my foot and work out exactly what the best runners for me are, so I'm going to go there. And others will ask a friend and say, I don't want to have to do all the work. You've done the work. You seem to be a pretty good runner. What are the runners that you wear? So we start to look at how they go through that process of identifying what their options are. And once they've decided their options, we need to think about how they're going to go and explore those and work out which particular provider is the right one for them. If we think about customers in purchasing today, there's been some really big changes over the last few years, but in the last few months, things have really accelerated. So if we consider, for example, showrooming, which was a trend that started probably 10 to 12 years back now, where people would go to a retailer, try the shoes on, work out the size, and then go and buy them online. Smart retailers are now recognising that their customers are doing that, and they're figuring out ways of engaging them at that point to sign them up to a newsletter, to follow them up and to remarket them and actually provide a better service and experience than they might be able to find from an online retailer like an Amazon, for example. So that's that process which they go through. And to give you perhaps a more in-depth exploration of that, we have a tool which is available, and we'll make that available after today, called the Customer Journey Map. And this Customer Journey Map looks to map the entire process of a particular customer persona from the point of awareness through to consideration, then making a decision, our delivery and use or engagement, right through and beyond that, becoming a loyal, valuable customer and perhaps even an advocate for our brand or business. This process we've put together, and the steps we've got on the left-hand side here outline what customers' actions are up the top, and what our objectives in a business and the KPIs, organisational activities, and who is responsible and the technologies we're going to use for it are. It's quite an in-depth process, but nevertheless one that I would heartily recommend we all spend a little bit of time stepping back and looking at to understand what process our customer is going through and what touch points they're going to engage with us on. When we understand this really well, we can make sure that our online marketing and our online business activities, as well as our offline activities, are perfectly in harmony with what the customer is looking for. And when you get that right, we create something where customers just love doing business with us. And really, that's the end game that we're all always looking for, is to make it easy for people to do business with you and to make it enjoyable and pleasurable, and the kind of thing where we get them to the end stage of being a genuine advocate for our brand. In the noisy, cluttered marketing world of today, it's easy for us to think that just shouting louder and more frequently will gain us attention. But the truth is, the majority of businesses we engage with have achieved this level of advocacy amongst their clientele that you want to be part of that process, and you want to do business with them. So this customer journey mapping tool is something I would recommend, and we'll provide you in the afterwards of today a copy of this sheet, which you can fill in at your own time and go through. Definitely worth thinking about. So in the last few months, what's changed? It's often said that history is a long journey, and in very short periods of time, lots of things happen. Well, over the months of March and April, I'm going to give you a couple of examples from my mum, who's in her 70s and has all of a sudden become a very active digital citizen. When she first was told, don't leave home, her daily shopping trips to Coles was stopped. What was she going to do? She had a simple choice. She could ask one of the children to go out and do the shopping for her, or she could, in her own words, finally figure out how to do the online shopping. She chose the latter and realised that it's really, really easy. In fact, it was easier to do an online shop than it was to jump in the car and go out to the shopping centre. So this is something which changed for the months of March and April, but honestly has continued to change, and I expect won't change back anytime in the near future. So that's one example of how technology has actually changed the way that this customer is reacting. Another way is that a group of her friends have got together from all around the country and actually all around the world, and each night are sharing a picture of what they were cooking for dinner. A lot of them are older, single people, and they've created a Facebook group called the Isolated Chefs, and they've developed a community of people who keep an eye on each other and look out for each other, taking a photo of their food, which may vary from a bowl of 2-minute noodles right through to, we have one of the members is on a station up north, and there's regularly pictures of the kangaroo that he shot in the afternoon, or camel. And the fact that he's going to be eating camel for the next 3 months as part of it. But it's developed that sense of online community amongst the people with shared values but different geography, when in the past a lot of these people would have been linked physically in the one location. Another one is the opportunity to start using things like WhatsApp and Zoom, as we are today, to engage with things. Pinterest has become a huge platform for a lot of people now looking for to-do ideas and DIY projects. So that sort of thing has really changed in just that one consumer group's behaviours. It's quite surprising to hear that, I think I was looking yesterday, it's about 45% of all Facebook users are over 65. And that's a massive change from where we would have perceived these platforms a few years back, whereas it's just the kids on these things. No, it's a very broad cross-section of the community which are using it. So change has been accelerated perhaps by as many as 5 or 10 years in just a few short months. This will be impacting all of our businesses on the, we are largely in Western Australia, on the other side of this crisis. Recognising how we need to adopt and the things we need to do to adapt to these changes are going to be critical for our success moving forward. And that's why I'm so glad to see so many people here today looking at the idea of online business, how they can start to adapt and adopt to these changes. And these seminars which we present on, these 4 seminars that have been presented by the City of Bunbury are such a great initiative to help people make that change. Taking a deeper dive into the broad options which are available in an online marketing world, when we look at it, really, there are almost well, there's a very, very large number, but at the core of them, there are really 6 or 7 key platforms which we need to utilise to get out there. But at the very heart of those is your brand. And we often get confused about brand. In marketing, it's perhaps muddied a little bit sometimes with people thinking about brands being logos or brands being advertising or brands being voices. To me, and everyone has a different definition of it, but to me, a brand is the idea in people's head when they think about your business. So if it's a restaurant, your brand is the feeling that they get when the meal arrives on their table. It's the feeling and the experience that they have of the total thing, and when they walk out, that's what they remember. If it's a product, or a product, for example, it's the complete experience. It's the purchasing process, how well the product fits them and lasts, how they feel about it, and ultimately we come to the decision: are we going to use this product or service again? So that sits at the heart, and when we understand that brand really well, we can then start to look at the various platforms that we can use. So we've got websites and apps, a part of that puzzle. Looking at our social media channels, and there's multiple channels, picking out the ones that are right for our audience and communicating our way and our brand over that story. So important. Looking at managing our relationships with our customers. I've got an acronym up there, Customer Relationship Management, or CRM. And that's all about building the databases and relationships you have with your customers there and engaging with them. Looking at the advertising we run and the channels that we advertise on. The appearance within the search results, which is another really important part of discovery these days. And it can't be underestimated, the importance of reputation. In fact, reputation probably links more tightly into our brand than anything else. And it's the thing which we really quite often have the least control over. You will often talk to restaurateurs or to experience operators who bemoan the TripAdvisors and Google reviews that people are happy to leave as all of a sudden an instant MasterChef expert. But these are what really matter in today's world, that reputation there that links into it. When we get all of these things working together harmoniously, we call that an omni-channel marketing strategy. And that is effectively the approach of bringing together a harmonious approach with all these various channels singing the same song effectively. So let's start with websites. And I had a great question from somebody recently, and it's a valid one. Do I even need a website in 2020? After all, we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got Google Places, all these different things where people can see us. Why would I bother with a website? And fundamentally, at the heart of the answer to the question, it's all about authority and trust. How often does somebody tell you, you really need to speak to XYZ as a business? And the first thing you do is head off to Google to see what they're all about. So I'll put up an example of a mortgage broker. If you were looking for a mortgage broker and you asked a friend who you think's good, they might give you a name, and you're going to go off and look at their website as your first point of contact. And that website, that first couple of instances you're looking at, you're going to be working out pretty quickly whether you can trust and whether that person looks to have, or that broker looks to have the authenticity and authority and expertise that you're going to need from somebody in this space. There is a really bigger issue at hand here though, and that's the one of ownership. And I'd like to share a little story with you of a business which we've worked with over the years who recognised well in advance the importance of actually owning an asset. There's an old adage which says you don't build on rented ground. And it's very true, but unfortunately necessary, that when we're building on other people's platforms, like Facebook in particular, at some point, for no reason of your own, they can change the rules and say, I'm sorry, but we're not going to allow you to play in this space at the moment. You might have breached a rule which you are unaware of, or it may be that for no doing of your own, somebody else has reported you for something which they feel is a slight on their brand. This particular client has an amazing product which they take to the Bunbury markets. And over the course of years, she developed a really strong following. And that following, she'd been asking for people to sign up to her email newsletter and to follow her on Facebook. As she built this up and earned a really strong brand and identity amongst her clientele, she then set up a website with a Shopify platform so she could sell her products outside of the market days. As she grew and started to gain broader recognition outside of the Bunbury region and into and broadly across Australia, somebody decided that one of the products which she was selling may well have been a copyright infringement. It's questionable as to whether it was, but when they lodged the complaint with Facebook, Facebook turned around and said, we're blocking your page and you're no longer allowed to have a Facebook page. Now, if she'd built her entire business on that Facebook page and her Instagram account, which was linked to it, that would have been a catastrophe. However, she'd been smart enough to create a strong email database, which meant that when this happened, she could email out all the customers saying, it's okay, we're still in business, Facebook has taken our page down at the moment, you can continue to purchase from us and we're going to continue our weekly newsletters. At the heart of the reason why this particular person continued to be successful was she'd done the hard work. Every week had gone out an email newsletter. Every week she'd been building that mailing list through face-to-face contact as well as through her website. And every week she'd been selling her products directly via her website. Facebook had been a fantastic utility in amplifying her reach. But when they came and changed the rules and said, sorry, you're off, it wasn't a catastrophe. Business could go on. And that's something which I'd really suggest to everybody, is that the advantage of a website is that you own it. It belongs to you. It's your little patch of dirt on the World Wide Web that really you are in complete control of. And indeed you should be. Another important thing is your findability. Being able for customers to identify who you are in your area via search engines can't be underestimated. There are a lot of products and services where the first port of call for people is straight to Google. I want to find restaurants near me. tyre shops near me. The list goes on. And when people find that website, or they find your Google business listing, which is linked to your website, it gives them a point that they can jump on and start engaging with you. And of course, ultimately, it's your brand. It's a part of your identity where you own that effectively. So the process that we go through is picking a domain name. With a domain name, it's got to be simple. Don't get fancy. No 8s for ATEs or no hyphens and dashes. Keep it really simple, keep it short, keep it memorable so people can remember that address, and make sure that you've done your homework on it. The last thing you want to do is set up with your business name and your brand and your website that matches a much bigger player in another marketplace. So when people search your name, they come up with somebody who might be operating out of the US, for example. So it's worth doing the work to make sure that your name is effectively yours. Then choosing a platform. There are so many different ways of building a website today that it is not funny. WordPress, which is our preferred platform, accounts for around about 60% of all websites online today. Doesn't mean to say it's the best or the greatest. It has its own downsides and requires a little bit more energy and effort to learn, but it's a platform that as a developer we really enjoy working with. There are others which a lot of people like Wix and Weebly, which are both very simple to set up. Squarespace can look aesthetically beautiful. Shopify and BigCommerce are great ways of selling things online via your website. And you can't underestimate the ability of doing these things yourself. They can be built. You can put something together really quickly and effectively using any one of these or hundreds of other platforms. But do your homework and really start to understand what you think is going to work best for you. You've then got the choice of whether you build it yourself or you engage a developer. And if you're going to build it yourself, that's a really terrific thing to do. But you need to allow the time and energy and effort that you're going to need to do that. If you engage a developer, you need to have that relationship there with the developer and the ability to work with them. It really should be something that's done with your business rather than to your business. So bringing that expertise in might be the approach you go. And like a lot of things in life, this comes down to that simple question of time versus money. You can decide which one of those is more valuable to you at this particular point in your business. Either way, though, you need the ability to manage this going forward. So the ability for your business to produce the content that your customers are looking for on a regular basis and to share and distribute that content via your website should be something that you can do in-house. So I think you need to start thinking about a platform where you can effectively operate and manage the content on the website into the future. With online shopping, when I first started in the e-commerce space a long time ago, it was really, really complex. It would take a development team days and days and days to build a payment gateway. Today, in a matter of short minutes, usually with most of these platforms, it's a case of grabbing a key which you'll be able to get off your payment provider, which could be somebody like Stripe or eWay, or even your banks. Most of the banks have these online payment gateways available now. You grab a key there, plug it into a little field in your booking system or your shopping system, and you've got a payment gateway available. Now, there are lots of reasons we can take payments. Selling products, the most obvious. But I came across one recently with my daughter who booked in to have her nails done. And the company that she booked in to have her nails done took a 20% deposit for her nails on the credit card. And I said, "Are you sure you're comfortable doing that?" And the response came back, "Dad, it's fine. They've got a 4.9 star rating on Google with 250 reviews." And I thought, There's another way which our reputation even connects into our payments on it. But from the provider's point of view, for anybody in a services business, you'll know just how frustrating it is to have no shows. They'd solved that problem via their online platform. So top marks to them. I recently tried to book into a restaurant in Perth, the Campfield, which is next door to the Subiaco Stadium. Oh, sorry, there's my age. Next door to the new stadium. And they, again, also took a deposit of $10 per guest to avoid the no-show problem. So that's an example of where payments are maybe not necessarily just limited to online shopping. Our shipping equation is another one which we need to start thinking about too. If we've got to deliver a product or service, who's our target market? How are we looking to reach them? And we've recently seen a big uptick in local businesses doing local deliveries, which makes sense. You've got a market out here at your doorstep. It really doesn't cost you much more than just time to get your products and services out to your customers. And when we were in our March-April period, you saw a lot of local bottle shops starting to engage with their customers via a local shipping mechanism. So we're not engaging Australia Post or DHL or anybody else to get our products out. Often it's just a staff member delivering things to people in a certain radius. But thinking about those shipping rules, how we're going to get our products out to our customers. And almost the most important part is looking at our integrations. If we're still running a cash register, it's really, and a manual journal and a manual inventory of the products we have on our shelves, it's really hard to get the website to actually link to that and keep it up to date. But if you're running open, modern software, like for example, Vend or Tower, which are point of sale systems, or Swift POS in a hospitality space, then we can link those in to our booking system or our online platforms such that people can see what we really have available and make their purchase decisions in real time. These things have all become very, very straightforward, certainly in comparison to how they were a few years ago. And if the vendors you're working with aren't at that stage yet, then it may be time to look at alternative platforms. Social media. It is called social for one simple reason. People are looking to engage. They're not looking to be sold to a lot of the time. And when we think about all the channels, and we've only got 7 of the most popular up here, each of them serves its own purpose. Facebook is fantastic for developing brand awareness, for driving even business-to-business campaigns, as well as retargeting, so advertising to people who've already seen us, engaged with us, but perhaps not purchased. Twitter, not huge in Australia, but massive in certain niches, and they will surprise you, the kind of niches. One that blew me away was the agricultural sector. There are a lot of farmers who really like the Twitter platform. It's the opportunity to engage with communities of like-minded people, to share expertise, and to learn from subject matter experts. It's become very popular in that space. News almost goes without saying, so people in the media, it's a platform that works very, very well for them because it's instantaneous. Instagram, it's all about the aesthetic. And for Gen Zs and millennials, that is a perfect platform to show beautiful and engaging images. Great for behind the scenes work as well. And you'll see there's a cafe over the road from my office who do a beautiful job of showing the food that they're making in the morning so that my taste buds are warmed up, ready for me to walk into the office in the morning and say, could I please have one of those Florentines that I saw you cooking this morning? And for those of you who know it, the Happy Wife are one of the local ones that do a really good job with it. There are a lot of people who do a great job telling that behind the scenes story there with Instagram. LinkedIn is really at the core of a business-to-business platform and for professionals and white-collar workers. It's a very, very valuable way of engaging with people to show your business's reputation, to perhaps even attract the right candidates in recruitment into your business, and to build those professional and commercial networks that can be utilised effectively to drive real value in your organisation. And sometimes we don't think about YouTube as being a social platform so much as just a video platform. But amongst your Gen Zs and your millennials, it is huge. The opportunity to engage with influencers who can share your story, and for you to build your own brand content. How-tos have become one of the top search things over the last couple of months, particularly how-to home projects, how-to home mechanics, and those kind of things can be really worthwhile. There is a mechanic which we've come across locally who provides quick, short how-to videos for simple problems, clear in the knowledge that if you give a little, you get a lot. And they've identified a lot of customers who come back to them saying, thanks for helping me with this little problem. Now I've got a bigger one that I need your assistance with. So it's a great way of sharing that expertise with a broad audience. Snapchat has really dominated the space where Instagram is in that under 34-year-old marketplace. And they have become the communication platform of choice for younger people, such that I was told recently by my 14-year-old that, don't you know, email's only for old people. There is no way that I'm sending an email to my friends. They'll think that I'm ancient. And I thought that's very true. Snapchat is the way that you talk. And it's all about the visual and the quick backwards and forwards with visual images, which disappear. And Pinterest is absolutely a platform amongst the feminine audience that we've found is really effective for discovery. When people are looking for ideas and they're looking for inspiration, for travel inspiration, for food ideas, for cooking products, that is an absolute place to go. And it's still really quite early days in terms of the businesses getting great value out of it. We haven't come across too many local businesses who are really using it, but there's a terrific opportunity there, particularly if you're looking to grow out into a much broader region via these platforms. Fundamentally, the reason we use the platform connects to the reason why we're looking to use it for a business, use it as individuals. And that these are some of the core reasons which we'll dive into, are available on the slide deck afterwards, explaining the bridging, which is where we connect between people, bonding of building relations, communicating, and you'll see Facebook Messengers at the top of the list there. WhatsApp should be up on that as well as discovering ideas and inspiration, and ultimately their purpose of taking action. So some of the things which we really want to be conscious of on social media is starting with a clear plan. And a content plan is something that I advocate for every business. It can be as simple as a calendar of 7 days saying on Mondays we do this, Tuesdays we do that, Wednesdays we do this, Thursdays we do this, etc. But working within your limitations. And I think being really honest with yourself about the amount of time and energy you can put into it. There's businesses we've come across where people are spending 20 plus hours a week on social media platforms that are perhaps not delivering them any real business. And that just doesn't make sense. We've all got a life. Let's go out and get the most value out of the time we're doing. So working out where your business is coming from, the amount of energy you need to put into those platforms, and then driving it forward is the key with starting with a plan. Being absolutely authentic. We can all smell a fake. And millennials and Gen Zs are 10 times better than my generation of X's, where they can pick out somebody who is not real in a matter of seconds. The use of stock images, the use of generic marketing speak is a huge barrier to people on these platforms. So absolutely, be who you are, be real. Be listening as much as you're talking. So involve in community, listen to what people are saying, and provide genuine and authentic responses. Be engaging. Try and find ways of actually being something that people want to look at. A product on sale, unless it's directed at the right people, may not actually achieve a great deal. And be consistent. So don't be looking to mix it up and match it and change it every week with a different voice. Pick your voice and stick to it. And develop strong networks. So build it going forward with that network approach. Some of the things we're going to avoid, let's avoid shortcuts. Anybody can tell the business that's bought 10,000 followers on Instagram, and Instagram can tell that too very, very quickly. Same on YouTube, Facebook, etc. Build your network authentically. Don't try to sell before engaging. People don't like to be sold to. If you went to a business networking event and walked into the room and said, "Hi, I'm Anthony, I sell this product, would you like to buy some?" You'd be a jerk. Let's be blunt about it. You're exactly the same on your social channels if you're always selling and not engaging. Relying on one platform, as we saw in that case study earlier on, can be catastrophic. So make sure you spread your risks and don't have all your eggs in one basket. Don't spam your audience. If they didn't hear you, didn't listen to you the first time, saying it 10 more times is probably not going to achieve anything more. And next section is looking at our customer relationship management and our email. Email's often forgotten in the marketing mix today because we get all these new shiny toys and forget the value of a simple email. Customer relationship management is all about managing those interactions and relations with all your existing and future customers. A simple way of saying it is no customers, no business. Know your customer, know your business. And when we build a customer relationship management system, it can be as simple as a spreadsheet with the list of names of customers. It could be the contact directory in your phone, or it can be as sophisticated as a platform such as Salesforce, Zoho, Insightly, or there's a plethora of them online. My advice when you're choosing a platform for customer relationship management is try it for a month. Use it, see if you will use it, and if it matches, if it fits with what you're looking to do, stick with it and invest heavily into it in terms of your time and energy. Because unless you do that, you're not going to find something that actually works well in your business. Email marketing has changed a huge amount, but the link to CRM hasn't. So when we build our databases and we work out who's engaging with us, we can start to send personalised, engaging emails. Now, I've got 2 emails up here on the screen which appeared in my inbox earlier in the week. And one of them is highly targeted around something that I've read on Audible or listened to on Audible, which is a division of Amazon. And Amazon are probably better than just about anyone else in the world at personalised marketing. So they've said, if you liked this product, check these out. You might be interested in those. And pretty much spot on, their recommendations are pretty well correct. The other one is from a local business, which I love, but they've said, this is what we've got on sale this week. With no regards to whether I've purchased these products last week and didn't get 25% off, or whether I'm ever going to purchase them. So one's the older approach of just a spray and pray, and the other's very targeted. It takes effort and energy to build a targeted process, but it's effort and energy which I think you'll be well rewarded in. In terms of advertising, online advertising has a variety of key purposes. It can help you build your brand awareness quite cost effectively. It can spread the information and drive buyer behaviour. And most importantly, it helps you attract new customers. When we look at the funnel using Google and Facebook as the 2 platforms which really account for the vast majority of the online spend today, we see think, do, and care, following that process we talked about earlier on in terms of a buying cycle. And there's things like YouTube ads, Google display ads, And they're regular search ads, which are great at the top end of the funnel. As people start to search, their search ads are absolutely one of the most valuable ways of immediately engaging with people who are looking for a product. We go back to the earlier example there of somebody who was looking for a pair of runners, and that's probably where you're going to end up is, sports shop near me, for example, if you're new to town. Or if you're looking for a hairdresser and you've just moved into town, some people will go to Facebook, some people will go to their networks, other people will go to Google. So making sure that we show up in the right spot for them. Looking at our continued advertising through the process with what we call remarketing ads. I'll use the example, I looked at a pair of snow boots once. And for 2 years, after I've been on my holiday and returned, those snow boots kept following me all around the internet. Not great advertising because I didn't need them anymore, but they're in effect, that's an example of what remarketing is all about. Could you click back on the screen?
Sure.
That's okay. Facebook ads can do similar things too. So Facebook ads span their platforms of Facebook, Instagram and Messenger, and they allow us to do things like creating dynamic ads, focusing these ads on those markets, and for a fairly modest spend, you can achieve some great results in boosting content or pushing content out there which is already engaging and worthwhile. So it is an effective way of growing that for you. And the last part of our puzzle we're going to look at is our reputation. 57% of customers, when they surveyed 2 years ago, would only use a business if it had higher than a 4-star rating. That's astonishing. And it's, potentially devastating for a business. If you had a bad run, you get a series of 1-star reviews and it drops you down, you can really get yourself into a bad position with that. So actively managing your reputation.
Sorry, we have another. Sorry, unstable connection.
Sorry about that, everyone. We lost a connection there. Can you click back on the screen? And 86% of local customers look at local businesses for their reviews. So when we look at online marketing, often the first thing is we're looking at the whole world. But really, a lot of the time we've got to focus back on our home turf and just recognise that our opportunity to engage with our local market is very much driven by what we're doing online. And when you've earned these reviews, take the opportunity to show them proudly. Display them on your website, use them in your marketing, share them out there because people love to see what other people think. With all of these things together, it can be quite overwhelming. And one of the most important tools we believe is building a bit of a digital dashboard for your business. This digital dashboard needs to look across all of these platforms and provide you with a simple insight as to what's happening. And it can be simple as a spreadsheet, which you keep a track on from month to month to see if you're improving or going backwards. You can go as sophisticated as a live dashboard platform, which can plug into a lot of these analytics tools to provide you with up-to-the-minute information. But as a starting point, consider just a spreadsheet with the key metrics that matter to your business, and that as well as just our marketing metrics, but our conventional ones too. So things like our profit and loss, the number of covers that we've served, the number of engagements we've got, the leads that have come in the door, so we can see how the correlation's starting to occur and what's delivering you the best value for money from your marketing effort. Hopefully, we've got a couple of questions and answers, and we've inspired you to think about new things in your businesses today. We invite any questions that people may have.
Right. Anthony, we do have some questions here, so maybe if I just hand this over to you. Question 1, what should I look for in a web developer?
I guess it's a lot like a partnership and a relationship. You're looking for somebody that you can work with, somebody that clicks with your business and has got the capability to take your business forward. So that capability comes down to, you can assess that by looking at previous work that they've completed, to look at the reviews that they may have earned, and to look at case studies of people that they've worked with that they may be willing to share with you.
Mm.
And with that experience, you can look at it and say, are they going to work? But I think a big part of it is that personality click too.
Yeah.
If you can work with somebody, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, finding that right connection.
Mm.
How can we be sure that a business has ownership of their website if they use a developer? How does that relationship work?
That's a really good question. And a lot of that comes down to making sure you're clear up front with the engagement that you're looking for. So this is one occasion in life where you don't just click the OK button and move on to the next, yes, I agree to all the terms and conditions. Take the time to read them and understand whether you're buying or renting a website. There are some services out there, and not necessarily local developers, but there are some services out there where you are paying a monthly fee in perpetuity. That's okay. It's great when you're starting up because it keeps your costs nice and low. So you don't have a big capital outlay at the beginning of your business. But if you're expecting it to be there for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, then that monthly cost may end up being quite considerable.
Substantial.
Mm.
Yeah, okay, great points. Agency or freelancer for my website build? What's your experience or knowledge on this?
Both.
Yeah.
But both can serve a really valuable role. And a lot of it comes down to the individuals in the agency as well as the individuals as a freelancer and working out whether or not you've got that click to start with.
Yeah.
Recognising that sometimes a freelancer may have not a great deal of work on so that they can knock out your job very, very quickly. And the same can apply to a smaller agency too. Whereas a bigger one, if they're busy, then things may extend out. So working out whether or not it's a good fit for you and for them. Generally, a freelancer will be a more cost-effective option for a lot of businesses.
Right.
So you may end up spending a little bit less because you don't have the overheads that are associated with it. But sometimes you might find yourself engaging on an hourly basis. And this is something which I would absolutely highlight. We've come across a couple of businesses which have engaged freelancers out of the subcontinent, and they're only paying $20 an hour for 400 hours for something that should be done in a day or 2 days. So recognising the difference on a per hour basis versus a project basis is quite important there. So, and a lot of that comes down to, may not be entirely the freelancer's issue, but managing your project scope of work. So you say, this is what we're looking to do, these are the expectations, this is the time it's going to take, let's now work forward with it. And recognising that if we change our scope, the costs can change too. So don't get caught into that situation.
Asking the right questions, isn't it? We're just going to have a look at our Zoom chat group out there at the moment. We do have a couple of questions up there. Can I use someone different to update my website regularly, or do you need to use the same developer all the time?
You should have the flexibility to use other people to update it. But people who are familiar with that platform. So if you've built with, let's say a Shopify platform, you're best off bringing people into work with it who are experienced and comfortable with that platform. So if the last thing you want to do is bring somebody in who looks at it and says, "Oh, this is terrible. Throw it all out and start afresh with my product," because that ends up costing you a great deal. But having the flexibility to bring other people in, absolutely. Having the openness with your existing relationship and your ownership of the IP for your website, or intellectual property, so that you can bring other people in, definitely worth considering.
Yeah, great. Okay. Another one from Patrick there. What percentage of Bunbury businesses would you estimate are operating on that click and mortar basis? There we go. Pull out those figures for us.
I would love to be able to answer this question. My suspicion, and it is purely anecdotal, it's higher than you'd expect, but lower than we'd desire. It may be somewhere in the 10 to 20% range who allow people to do both, but recognising it's a spectrum. So pretty much my estimate would be 90% of businesses have some form of digital footprint today. That can be as simple as a Google Places listing or a Facebook page, and it can be as sophisticated as a completely integrated omni-channel marketing strategy. But we're all on different, 90% of us are on different points along that spectrum.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Pertinent to this, who owns what with my website? How does that work?
Let's go and look at our terms and conditions.
Okay.
So understanding those terms and conditions, and also recognising the importance of genuine intellectual property. I'll share an example of a business we worked with who a number of years ago employed a work experience student who found a whole bunch of really cool pictures and put them on their website. And they sat there in blog articles for several years before they got a letter from Getty Images, which they at first thought was spam. And when they bounced it off me and said, "Do you think this is legit or not?" I realised they'd been hit for a breach of intellectual property. They had a $3,500 bill for stealing a photo that belonged to somebody else. So recognise that there is ownership in these things. Also recognise that you've got to do the work to make sure you understand who owns what on your platform.
Okay. Integrations and connections are hard. How can I be sure that I'm actually using the right payment system without testing lots of them? I'm sure there's lots of options out there. And will they all work together necessarily? I mean, it sounds like a minefield going into it, doesn't it?
It is. There are, generally I would start from the top down in terms of popularity and frequency of the platforms. So we look at, there are a couple which are really well known in the marketplace. eWay was an Australian business, and they offer a very simple open integration which plugs into the vast majority of online platforms, and they can offer to either work with your existing bank, who might offer a merchant service, or provide it in-house completely, in which case they work with NAB. And they charge, so looking at the charges on them, they're charging, I think, about 1.9% merchant fee on their transactions.
Per transaction.
Yep. Stripe are another one, US-based company, very open, works with a huge number of platforms, nice and secure, and handles it very well. Similar sort of merchant fees. Secure Pay, which is owned by Australia Post. Again, nice and open, works with a lot of platforms, perhaps not as many. Slightly better merchant fees quite often, but more extensive in the setup process. And then, of course, our banks. So most of the banks offer these services today too, and it's worth talking to your own bank and seeing what works.
Definitely asking questions, isn't it?
Yes.
Robin's posted something up there. Marketing is about breaking through the clutter in any marketing channel. Look, what tips do you have for helping your business to stand out online?
Do the work. Do the work to really understand your customers.
Yeah.
Do the work to be absolutely authentic about your brand and to identify the message that you want to share and share it in the most authentic way possible. So don't look for shortcuts. Recognise that there's quite a bit of work that we need to do to achieve these things, but go through that process there for working the message you want to share, sharing it with the right people, and being very real and authentic about it.
Okay, all right. Anthony, thank you very much. I think, how are we going for time here? Ready to wrap up? Look, Anthony, just to recap quickly on the key points here then, correct me if I'm off the mark there. We all need to think about these kind of points when we're talking about our business being online. So look at why you started your business and why you're moving it online. Good point. Number 2, consider your customer journey and how you interact with your customers. And lastly, the big one, that was a big point that you were making, omni-channel. Being online is more than just a website or a Facebook page. It's consolidated and an integrated approach then for your customers. Beautiful. Great. Anthony, thank you so much. Insightful and very important information that we all need for taking the big plunge online. Many of you already have, but of course the strategy is then to develop that further. If anyone would like an appointment with Anthony, please to discuss their specific business needs and online presence, then please contact Rethink Marketing. And we're going to send you Anthony's details, of course, when we send out the recording to all of you today. Just a reminder now, this was the first in a series of 4 business improvement workshops. Now, the next workshop is about online best practice, which will be hosted by David Harrison from Too Easy Computing. Look, I know I'm very interested in this one to hear how I can better protect myself from a cyber attack. Very relevant in this day and age. To register, of course, for that next workshop, please visit the BSW Connect website. So that's bswconnect.com.au. Thank you again, Anthony. Great to listen to you today. And a big thank you to everyone as well that joined us today. We hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. And look, we look forward to seeing you all again for next week. Thank you. Good morning.